Frank McCourt was born August 19, 1930, in Brooklyn, New York, but soon moved back to Limerick, Ireland. He had 6 siblings. 2 of his brothers slept in the same bed as him. His father was unfortunately an alcoholic and drank away all the money that his mother made. Fear in general controlled his life. He lived in the worst conditions since he was very poor.
We were asked to write about a single thing, an object in our childhood. And the object that meant most to me, or that was so significant, was the bed I slept in with my brothers, all 4 of us. This half-acre of a bed with a disaster of a mattress which collapsed in the middle. Everybody peed in the bed, so the spring was gone, and we tried to keep it together with bits of string, but after a while the acid from our bodies rotted the string. We'd get into bed and we roll into the middle, the 4 of us, and fight, get out of my way. Now, meanwhile, the fleas were feasting on us, and if you had to go to the John, you went to a bucket and so on, came back, and we were up. We'd light a candle to get at them, and we'd hold the candle, and we'd go at slapping at each other's legs and bodies, killing the fleas. That was probably the most concrete image I brought away from my childhood, and I wrote about that.
Frank always wrote more than he was asked, and when he did, the students would have to listen to him read it out loud. The students always picked on him about this, and they also picked on him that Mr. O'Halloran called him a literary genius. Mr. O'Halloran was the only teacher that encouraged him. He went to secondary school, but many people were surprised because he was impoverished, and most impoverished kids do not go.
The last teacher I had was a man named O'Halloran, but he was the only one who offered words of encouragement, who told us we were distinct, unique individuals with a right to think for ourselves. And that was just before we left Leamy's National School. And he told me, "My boy, you are a literary genius." And you can imagine what I had to put up with the schoolyard, with all the other, McCourt, you're a literary genius, look at him, look at the literary genius. But it wasn't negative, it was just teasing. But they respected him, and they respected me for being picked out by Mr. O'Halloran.
At the age of 13, Frank left school because he was not able to go on for further education. He gained a job at the post office as a temporary telegram boy, which he held for 2 years. At 19, he moved to America and found a job as a dustboy in a hotel, which did not make him very much money. He was then drafted to Germany for 2 years to fight in the war. When he came back, he found it hard to find a job in America without a high school diploma. Frank had always wanted to write, although he didn't know what to write about. So he began taking a class at New York University, where they were supposed to write about something that stood out in their childhood. He wrote about sleeping in the same bed with his 3 other brothers, who all urinated in it, and the nights that they would have to slap fleas off of each other just to sleep. He got an A+ on that paper. Later he began teaching at McKee Vocational High School. It was a rough school, and he didn't know how to handle the children. He also worked in warehouses and in docks. And after switching from school to school, he began writing novels about his experiences at each school.
Frank McCourt graduated in 1957 from New York University with a bachelor's degree in English. After he graduated, he moved to Staten Island and taught at a high school. In 1967, he earned his master's degree at Brooklyn College, and in the late 60s, he spent 18 months at Trinity College in New Berlin, failed to get his PhD before returning to New York City. Frank wrote Angela's Ashes in memory of his mother. Frank never thought that this book would be successful. He thought it would be just another piece of writing that he wrote. Frank also said that if it wasn't successful, he would go back to teaching. Frank McCourt won the Pulitzer Award for Angela's Ashes and is also featured on the Academy of Achievement website for interviews that are talking about his life, childhood, and also his book.